What if I told you that keeping certain people in your life is the very reason you feel drained, anxious, and off balance? That loyalty, when misplaced, can be a silent form of self-destruction. The truth is, not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Some people only show up to take your time, your energy, your peace. But how do you let go without guilt? How do you walk away without turning bitter? How do you stay calm when everything inside you wants to scream? That's where Stoicism comes in. An ancient philosophy built on clarity, courage, and control. In this video, we'll explore how to cut ties with toxic people, not with anger, but with strength. Not with hatred, but with wisdom. You'll learn how Stoic principles can help you protect your peace, guard your boundaries, and live with unshakable calm, even when it means walking away from people you once loved. This isn't just about removing others. It's about reclaiming yourself. Let's begin. Before we begin, if you're drawn to Stoic wisdom and timeless insights that help you live with clarity and courage, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. It supports the work and brings more philosophy into more lives. Now, let's explore today's teaching. Part 1. Understanding toxic people the Stoic way. Let's start with this truth. Stoics believe relationships should help you grow, not drag you down. They're not about guilt or obligation. They're about living in peace, with people who align with your values. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way. Spend your time with people who make you better. But here's the problem, not everyone in your life does that. In fact, some people do the exact opposite. Toxic people often leave you feeling drained. Try to control your choices. Ignore your boundaries. Make you feel anxious, guilty, or confused. And here's where Stoicism gives us clarity. You don't have to keep someone in your life just because you've known them a long time. Loyalty doesn't mean tolerating emotional chaos. Let's imagine a situation. You have a friend you've known since childhood. You've shared memories, supported each other, and made it through tough times. But now, every time you're around them, there's drama. They expect you to drop everything for them, but when you need support, they're nowhere to be found. They take subtle jabs at you. They mock your beliefs. They never respect your boundaries. A Stoic wouldn't say, stick around because it's been so many years. No, a Stoic would say, you are responsible for your character and your peace. If someone threatens either, it's time to reconsider the relationship. Your duty is not to your past. It's to your growth. And sometimes, growing means walking away. Part 2. Control and the power of choice. One of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism is this. Some things are in our control, and some things are not. That's what the Stoic teacher Epictetus said. And it's a game changer when you're dealing with toxic people. Here's the truth. You can't control how someone treats you. You can't force them to respect you, change, or suddenly become the person you hoped they'd be. But you can control your response. You can decide whether or not you allow them to stay in your life. And you can choose to protect your peace. Let me tell you about Julia. Julia had a sister who constantly put her down, always played the victim, and made her feel guilty for setting boundaries. Julia tried everything to keep the peace. She explained herself, stayed quiet, and even blamed herself. Then one day, Julia came across a Stoic quote that changed everything. If someone provokes you, realize that your mind is complicit. In other words, if you're constantly being hurt by someone, and you're doing nothing about it, you're helping them do the damage. Julia stopped waiting for her sister to change. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She simply stepped back. Quietly. Calmly. That's Stoic power, responding with clarity, not emotion. Part 3. Breaking free from the trap of guilt and loyalty. Let's talk about one of the biggest reasons people stay in toxic relationships, especially with family or old friends. Guilt and misplaced loyalty. But Stoicism teaches us something important. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to sacrifice your well-being to keep the relationship alive. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." If someone is constantly hurting you, maybe that pain is showing you what you need to do. Let's imagine a guy named Daniel. He has a friend from college who's always in trouble, always needs help, always makes bad decisions, and always pulls Daniel into the mess. And every time Daniel tries to say no, the friend guilt trips him. "Come on, we've been boys for years." So Daniel keeps helping, and keeps getting hurt. But then Daniel remembers this Stoic idea. You're not here to rescue people at the cost of your own values. You're here to live with integrity. The friendship was built on the past, but now, it's destroying his present. In Stoicism, real loyalty is to your virtue, your inner strength, not to people who pull you away from it. Part 4. Mastering your emotions before making the cut. Cutting ties with someone, especially someone close, isn't something you do in anger. At least not if you're practicing Stoicism. Stoics believe in emotional discipline. That means you don't let your emotions make decisions for you. You pause. You reflect. Then you act. Seneca said something powerful. He who is brave is free. And that kind of bravery often means doing the hard thing quietly, without needing to be right, without needing revenge. Here's a quick exercise. Think of the toxic person in your life like a storm. When a storm comes, do you scream at it? Do you try to talk it into going away? No, you protect yourself. You build shelter. You stay calm. That's exactly how a Stoic deals with people who bring chaos. You don't react emotionally. You remove yourself from the storm, peacefully, but firmly. You don't need to fight. You just need to act from a place of clarity, not from pain. Part 5. Boundaries are not cruel, they're courageous. In Stoicism, the highest goal in life is to live with virtue, which means courage, wisdom, self-control, and fairness. So here's a question. If someone keeps crossing your boundaries, and you keep letting it happen, are you really living with virtue? The answer is no. Stoicism teaches us that boundaries are not selfish. They're wise. And setting them is one of the most courageous things you can do. Let me make this practical for you. First, ask yourself. What behaviors are you no longer willing to accept? What's non-negotiable for your peace? Write it down. Be clear. Then, if you feel safe, communicate it once, calmly and respectfully. And after that? Enforce it. Not with anger, but with consistency. You're not being dramatic. You're not overreacting. You're honoring your own worth. And according to the Stoics, that's not only your right, it's your responsibility. Part 6. Letting go without needing closure. Here's something we don't hear enough. You don't need a dramatic ending, a long conversation, or a final apology to walk away. Stoicism teaches us that peace comes from within, not from getting closure from someone else. Sometimes, closure never comes. And that's okay. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." So instead of begging for an explanation, or chasing someone to understand your pain, a Stoic chooses silence. A Stoic chooses distance. A Stoic chooses peace. Let's take Maya, for example. Maya had a friend who ghosted her, lied to her, and then acted like nothing happened. Maya wanted to talk it out, to clear the air, to understand why. But then she asked herself, what am I really looking for? An apology that may never come? Or permission to move on? She realized, she didn't need closure from them. She needed commitment to herself. That's the Stoic way. You don't wait for someone else to give you peace. You become the source of your own peace. Part 7. Detachment is not cold, it's compassionate. Let's clear up a big misconception. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care wisely. Stoicism teaches us to love others without becoming owned by them. You can care, and still walk away when a relationship becomes toxic. Epictetus said, "When you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow, they may die." Now, that sounds harsh, but what he meant was this: love people deeply, but accept that they're not yours to control or hold on to forever. Let's say you have a friend who was once kind but slowly became manipulative and toxic. You keep trying to fix it because you remember who they used to be. But the Stoics would say, see them clearly for who they are now, not who they were before. Detachment allows you to say, I care about you, but I won't destroy my peace for you. That's not cruel. That's compassionate honesty, with them, and with yourself. Part 8. Replacing toxicity with purpose and peace. Once you remove a toxic person from your life, there's a space. A gap. And if you're not careful, that space can fill up with loneliness, self-doubt, or regret. But Stoicism teaches us. Don't just cut, replace. Don't just subtract, build. Marcus Aurelius spent much of his time in solitude. But he didn't waste it. He filled that space with reflection, discipline, and purpose. Let's talk about James. After cutting ties with a toxic ex, he didn't rush into distractions. Instead, he used that time to read, meditate, exercise, and reconnect with his values. You see, when you let go of the wrong people, you make room for the right habits, the right mindset, and eventually, the right people. Use that space to build the life you were always meant to live. One with intention. One with virtue. Part 9. Recognizing the signs early. What if you could avoid toxic relationships before they even start? Stoicism helps us do just that, by teaching us to observe, reflect, and stay grounded. A Stoic doesn't rush. A Stoic watches. A Stoic listens, not just to others, but to themselves. Here are a few early signs Stoics would tell you to watch for. Do you feel drained after spending time with someone? Do they make you feel guilty for having boundaries? Do they twist your words or dismiss your feelings? Do you constantly question your worth around them? These aren't just red flags. They're opportunities to act before the damage is done. Remember, you don't have to wait until you're broken to protect your peace. You can choose strength now, by trusting your inner judgment and honoring your own standards. Part 10. Living with strength, not bitterness. Now that we've gone deep into what it means to walk away the Stoic way, let's end with this. When you cut ties with a toxic person, don't carry bitterness with you. Carry wisdom. Marcus Aurelius said, the best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that. So don't let their negativity turn into your negativity. Don't become cynical. Don't close your heart. Just because they were hurtful doesn't mean everyone else will be. You didn't walk away to harden your heart. You walked away to protect it. To grow it. To give it space to breathe. Real strength isn't loud. It's not revenge. It's quiet. Peaceful. Grounded. And that's what Stoicism gives you. A deep, unshakable strength, that says, I will no longer accept what harms me. I will only build what heals me. So today, take a moment and ask yourself, who in your life no longer serves your growth? What boundaries have you avoided setting? What part of your peace are you ready to reclaim? Because when you apply these Stoic principles, not just in theory, but in practice, your life will change. Finally, let's wrap it all up. Today, We explored what it means to walk away from toxic people, not with rage, not with guilt, but with wisdom. We learned how the Stoics value virtue over loyalty to the past. Focus on what's in their control. Master their emotions before taking action. Set boundaries as a form of self-respect. Let go without needing closure. Replace toxicity with purpose. Recognize early signs of emotional harm. And most importantly, live with strength, not bitterness. So here's your challenge. Take one step today to protect your peace. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's stepping back from a toxic friend. Maybe it's just choosing silence instead of another fight. Whatever it is, choose it with clarity. Choose it with courage. Because as the Stoics remind us, the only person you're truly responsible for is you.